Hello and welcome to study Early Childhood Education Curriculum. I'm Sajivani Vandikun. Topic 4. Structure of Early Childhood Curriculum, Planning, Designing, Implementing and Assessing. Let's look at the learning outcomes. Plan a curriculum that promotes children's learning and development. Formulate goals and objectives that contribute to the reason for the curriculum. Implement activities and materials that are needed to carry out the desired goals and objectives. Evaluate early childhood curriculum. Introduction. The curriculum is an academic or study plan that should include, according to Latour Stack 2009, purpose, content, sequence, instructional methods, instructional resources, evaluation approaches, plan adjustment based on experience or data assessment. Let's look at the reason for EC curriculum. The use of early childhood curriculum model is on the rise again, and it is due to these reasons according to Goffin 2000. One of the educational goals is that children have to be ready to learn upon entering schools. To increase the low academic achievement of children who come from low-income families. ECE curriculum, the early childhood curriculum, is thus both increase children's academic achievement and experiences that can be developed to help children improve their problem solving, thinking, reasoning, and creating skills. Childhood educators need to employ a curriculum that is not thoughtfully planned, but one that is also challenging, engaging, appropriate, culturally and linguistically responsive, and able to promote positive outcomes among young children. Sources to be included in the curriculum according to NAEYC and NAECSDE 2004. Sources that should be included when developing a curriculum, including knowledge of early childhood, children's individual characteristics, the knowledge base of various disciplines, the values of our culture, parents' desire, and the knowledge children need to function proficiently in society. Planning, early childhood education is more meaningful for children when they are connected to real world experiences, including their culture, pattern, and Kokoski 1996. Despite the emphasis on academic content, it is important that the curriculum planner includes other disciplines like art, music, science, social studies, and learning through playing. Let me talk to indicators of effective curriculum. Well, according to the NAEYC and the NAEC as 2004, to write an effective curriculum, there are 8 indicators and as shown next. Children are active and engaged. Children are able to learn through play. It is important to always keep them active and engaged when implementing a curriculum. They should be kept busy in learning cantors and group and outdoor play to actively learn content from various subjects that have been incorporated within individual activities. Goals are clear and shared by all. Well, in early childhood education, the curriculum includes learning goals and skills based on the children's level. Well, these goals are visually supported through pictures, labels, bulletin boards, and charts. The goals are also shared with the parents' thoughts through communication forms. Let's look at curriculum is evidence-based. The ideal curriculum for early childhood is based on reliable research and development theories, which offer principal perspectives on how children learn. Besides using classic theories from Vygotsky, Piaget, Maslow, and others, the curriculum must also be based on modern stress research. This is to ensure that the curriculum is updated, and relevant to current interest and needs of young children. Let's look at value content is learned through investigations and focused intentional teaching. Every planned activity and learning item serves a development purpose. Children should be able to learn through exploring, which is why curriculum must include appropriate learning environment, daily routines, planning, daily or weekly activities, and assessing and evaluating a child progress. Well, curriculum builds on prior learning and experiences. Well, curriculum's learning environment, routines and activities have to be socially relevant, interculturally engaging and meaningful to young children. Teachers need to know what is a child's learning preference and implement the appropriate strategies that build on his or her prior learning and experiences. Well, curriculum is comprehensive. Teachers must assess and evaluate before planning activities that are appropriate for children. So this is why the curriculum has to include emergent curriculum processor, which promotes cognitive, physical, social, emotional and language and literary contents through developmentally and culturally appropriate practices. Well, professional standards validity, the curriculum subjects matter content. The curriculum has to be aligned with the learning standards by well-known early childhood agencies like Head Start, NAEYC and Brighton from the Start. The curriculum is likely to be benefit children if the teachers are able to execute the curriculum as intended. It will create a continuous opportunity for appropriate learning, enabling a child to continuously improve. In order to do, the daily instructions must be based on curiosity, interest, needs and development goals and skills of the children. Well, let's look at vital components of planning. The following are the 6 vital components when planning a curriculum under early childhood by the Connection State Department of EDU 2007. Well, objectives or performance standards for children to achieve by the end of the curriculum. The teacher does an ongoing assessment of their students' skill development and abilities. The content is available in language and literacy, mathematics concepts and scientific inquiry. The teacher plans a lesson that captures students' curiosity so that they are able to gain processes and experiments in a learning context. The teacher interaction with young children is balanced between teacher-directed and child-initiated behaviors and strategies. Organization of the environment, schedule and materials. Let's look at planning a curriculum. Planning a curriculum is meant to help new teachers on how to get started when planning a curriculum. The teacher's guideline in planning a curriculum, you can see here how to get started and what to ask yourself. If you ask how to get started, identify students' development characteristics based on their stage. Students' individual abilities are regularly assessed. What to ask yourself, what development stages is the child at, what is his ability. How to get started, define 2 performance standards for each of the 4 domains on which of focus. Which performance standard is appropriate based on child's present development? How will the different learning style and abilities be accommodated? How to get started, select the best way for the students to get engaged based on appropriate experience and determine the best context for it to happen. Can children be involved in the planning? What are the content and concepts that should be introduced? What context is best to enhance a child's learning experience? So next one is select best ways to students to be engaged based on appropriate experience and determine the best context for it to happen. Can children be involved in the planning? What are the content or concepts that should be introduced? What content is best to enhance a child's learning experience? So differentiate between teacher, behavior and the strategies. Which part of the curriculum need to be changed? What kind of materials are needed to enhance children's inquiry? Let's talk about the rigid planning versus flexible planning. Every teacher must plan her lessons where she or he has the general idea of the time and sequence of activities. However, in early childhood education, lesson cannot be planned a rigid time schedule. Teachers need to have the general idea of understanding the needs of the children when learning allow some flexibility in their lesson plan. Let's look at the designing. When designing a curriculum, a specific part of the lesson includes plan units where the activities are coordinated to reinforce the desired idea and to meet the children's individual developmental needs. This means that the children is learning what you intended them to learn. If you look at the unit plan, actually unit plan is the first step when designing a curriculum, and when the teacher has several possible activities for coordinating and carrying out a particular theme of the study. So this can be done by selecting a theme and brainstorming ideas on how this theme can be included in other areas of the curriculum. So there are many possible themes or projects appropriate for young children because they are at different ages of development. So thus any kind of theme is able to benefit children. The teacher can proceed with the unit plan to make curriculum. This approach gives the teacher a broad overview of where the lesson will go. You need plan to make the curriculum, theme and the seeds like area of curriculum and possible activities. So art, making seed collect, using seeds as part of the finding painting, turning seeds into a bracelet. Okay. Field trip, children must look for seeds in the garden, since planting the seeds for their home garden, look for foods that are seed at the grocery store, for example, peas, beans and corns. And food seeds, sprouts, green beans, salad, popcorn, such as. So just spend few seconds to read this about science. There's different types of seeds, study of how seeds travel, observe the growing stages of the seed planted. The different types of seeds, study of how seed travel, observe the growing stages of the seed planted. Songs about seeds, make seed shakers, roly pairs using seeds. So language and literature comes, stories about seeds, how to describe different types of seeds and choral reading in seeds. Okay, let's look at the webbing or clustering. The webbing or clustering may be used in different concepts according to what the teacher wants to achieve for the lesson they are playing. So you can see language and literacy, art activities and field trips. If it is field trips, farm, home garden, nursery, nature walk to look for seeds. If it is art activities, seed collages, make seed decorate seed shakers, fingerprint with some kinds of seed adapted to kind of a thing. If you take language and literacy, read poetry on seeds and write poems on seeds and study various nuts, kind of a thing, like make books with illustration, title how a seed grows, and also you can stories and books. Okay, carrot seed by R. Karras, tiny seed by E. Kali, likewise. So activity plan, once the web has been developed, a teacher can choose a specific idea to include, which matches the objective that have to be met. The idea is turned into an activity plan where the teacher outlines of all the activities planned for each day throughout the duration of the unit. Well, let's talk about the daily schedule of activities. One of the objectives are already thought through teachers who are at advanced level in planning and use the daily schedule to replace both the activity and lesson plan. Look at the following list of items needed for specifically in the daily schedule for activities, order of activities, approximate length of activities, and the person response if the teacher is working with someone else, specific responsibility of each individual, and also materials needed. Schedule and routine enable children to predict what will happen next time. This helps them to feel secured and prepared. Also, children who are familiar with routines are more likely to be attentive, engaged, and new learn knowledge. Okay, implementing. Once all the planning has been completed, the teachers may implement them through lesson plans. Well, lesson plans takes place when the unit plan is placed in broad perspective through the activity plan. And the specifics are defined in daily schedule of the activities. Or well, lesson plan is a longer version of daily schedule as it adds procedures to the activity and serve as reminder on the goals and objectives that needs to be achieved. In order to make the lesson plan more child-centered, the teacher can seek input from the children before planning specific activities. Even though the lesson plans are already detailed plans on how to achieve a class objective, teacher should not be so rigid and strictly adhere to them. So lesson plan should be seen as guiding principle for a more systematic instruction when teaching. Let's look at the objectives. In other words, an objective describes an international result from teaching the lesson. A well-written objective lets students know what they need to achieve by the end of the lesson and provides teachers with guidelines for assessing students' progress. So objectives in lesson plans should be specific, measurable, short-term, and able to observe students' behavior. Objective in lesson plan should be specific, measurable, short-term, and able to observe student behavior. Let's look at the procedures actually. Teachers need to decide how to sequence their lesson based on the approach they have opted for. I mean, the procedure is to provide the direction how to achieve the selected objective during the lesson. Let's talk about the resources and materials. Once the lesson is planned, list down all the items needed to be used. Resources and materials are meant to be used as a list for teachers to ensure that they have everything they need for before starting the lesson. Okay, this is to prevent problems like teacher forgetting to bring the essential item to the class for teaching. Let's talk about assessment. Assessment are meant as feedbacks for teacher when they record all of the lesson deficiencies and achievement. So this is to ensure that teachers can look back and try to improve where they lack and decide if the lesson needs to be revised or can be recycled for another time. Well, curriculum needs undergo continuous assessment to ensure the curriculum is constantly in harmony with children's abilities and needs. Since children are constantly developing, the curriculum needs to be adjusted to suit children's constantly changing needs. Assessing a child's development. It is important to assess child's development as an understanding of how children grow and develop, and it can help teachers in planning what will be taught and how it will be accomplished. So effective assessment must take into consideration generalization of growth and development, which should include the following. So each child is an individual and they grow in their own way. A child's self-concept will affect how he learns. A child's total development, not just cognitive functioning, must be the focus of his or her learning development. And also children learn best through real experiences by experimenting and discovering. The learning experience must take into account the cultural background, needs, interest, and developmental levels of each child in the classroom. Well, let's look at there are different techniques and used to acquire and organize assessment information. Well, checklist inventories, observation notes, anecdotes, not records, recorded child dialogue, children portfolio, video recording of task. Evaluating the teacher. Okay, as teacher, it is important to be reflective as in continually makes the teacher commitment to making improvements. So the teacher should constantly ask themselves the following questions. Am I planning the curriculum to meet child's abilities and needs? Are my desired objectives achieved? Am I providing adequate guidance, challenge, and direction to the children? So that's all for today, and good luck with your studies, and thank you.